Hi everyone, it's Lisa. I told you I'd try to come on. I'm a wind blowing. I've been outside working in the yard, but I wanted to have a chance to come on and see everybody. I miss everybody in my community. I'm hoping you're going to come on. I thought we'd do something a little bit different today. I thought instead of just individual readings for people that come on, I would answer questions and maybe pull like 3 cards on any topic that's going on, maybe outside of the environment. I had somebody that was, hi everybody. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so I can read for you. And hit the like button and the subscribe button. Thanks. And so I thought I'd do readings like this morning. I got asked questions, and I pulled some cards on Israel and Palestine, what's going on, what's happening with some of the things, tax related, or if we're going to get a fourth stimulus, or so things that might have to do with what's happening out in the environment, what's happening out in the government, as opposed to individual readings. So welcome everybody. Hi. So I thought I would do that and kind of answer your questions as I see them. It has been a long time. I've been very busy. I don't know if you saw my live the other day, but I am a registered nurse also, and the state really needed people to be able to give vaccines. And so I volunteered and I've been giving vaccines like 4 days a week. So I've been busy. I love it because it makes me feel like I'm doing something worthwhile, giving vaccines and helping a lot of people. And the state of Rhode Island is right up there. I think we're at like 86%. We're over herd immunity. We have 1% positive cases per day now. So it's really making a big difference having us out there. So I'm doing great, and I hope you guys are doing great. It has been a long time. I've missed you. So all you guys, I thought, like I said, rather than do individual readings for each of you and keeping track of it, what I thought I would do is if there's a topic you want me to look up on, if it has to do with the government or somebody in the government, or what's going to happen with, the insurrection, or what's going to happen with Giuliani, or and I could pull some cards that way. Hi, Lynn. It's so nice to see you, hon. I miss you. So I was just talking to Lynn that I'm going to be pulling cards kind of in general as you guys ask questions using the Rider-Waite tarot deck, as opposed to doing individual questions for everybody and answers. I thought I would switch it up a little bit. And find out if we like this way, where you come on and if there are questions, about the government, about what's happening out in the world, about things you're concerned about out in the world, and so forth, that it's more general to everybody as opposed to individual readings. And I'll stay on for about an hour and answer some of those questions. But I just thought I would put that out there and then let you guys take over and let me know what you're concerned about. And I'll pull 3 cards on a situation and talk about it a little bit. Okay. For example, what's a good example? Oh gosh. I don't know. I don't want, it can be political. It can be both sides politically. If you want to ask questions, the cards don't lie. So I'll tell the truth, whatever the cards read to you. I won't put my political bias on it at all, but you have to know that what the cards say is what goes, so, Miriam, what I was saying is I'm not doing like individual readings. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. But what I'm doing is I'm having you guys ask questions about what's happening in the general world, what's happening with, Gates and Green and Trump and Biden and anything that's happening out in the real world that we can all prosper from knowing a little bit about. And then I'll pull cards. Okay, so does anybody have questions that they'd like answered? Make sure you hit the like button if you like what we're doing. I thought I would try something different as opposed to just individual readings so that everybody can get involved and we can talk and have a conversation about it as I'm pulling the cards. And it doesn't matter left or right, wherever you are. I'm not biased. So it doesn't matter if you're Biden or Trump supporter, or it doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. It's kind of just what's happening in the world. Lynn, that's a really good question. How safe it is to go without masks. I was talking a little bit about that because I'm spending a lot of my time giving vaccines right now as a nurse, volunteering to do that. And in Rhode Island, we have 98% of our population over the age of 80 vaccinated, and we have over 84% over the age of 50 vaccinated. And we're doing vaccinations every day. So I know that is a big thing. We're coming up on herd immunity. We've only had like 1% of new cases every day in the last couple of weeks. So Rhode Island is right on top of it, but how safe is it to go without masks? I have to tell you, I've had both my vaccines. It is freeing to know that you've had the vaccine. And I think, Lynn, you and I spoke about that. You do feel like you're so protected. And it's so nice for me to know that I'm protecting other people from getting sick. You know, if I should be a carrier, if I should have it on me. But I have to tell you, when I go in the grocery store, we're working on the honor system, right? And because we're working on the honor system, anybody who hasn't gotten the vaccine can just say they did. So I guess what I'm saying is I want to still protect myself, even though the chances of me getting sick are so slim because I've had both vaccines. So if I go to the grocery store, I put a mask on. If I'm eating in an indoor restaurant to go in and out, I put a mask on. If I'm going into another store, I put a mask on. Outside in the public, I think it's safe. You don't need to wear it as far as being just outside all the time. But let me pull a few cards on it, Lynn. Let's see what the cards have to say. Okay, because I don't know what's happening in Massachusetts as far as vaccines go. You know, like if you guys have reached almost herd immunity, or where you're going with that. This card wanted to come out. I'm going to pull 3 cards on any topic you guys want to talk about. So the first card I got is the Justice card. Interesting. So this is all about just kind of, to me, when I hear this card, people automatically go to jail, or, you know, they think automatically of you know, police officers, or for me, this is the justice of the people. This is just that every state is working so hard to get their members. Yeah, that's the same with me, Lynn. Yeah. And that's just a personal preference. You know, it's whatever your state will allow and whatever the place you're going into will allow. She's just saying that she'd continue to wear a mask, especially in markets and crowded places. But I think that's just overly protection. Yeah, it's probably being overly cautious. But this Justice card is just, to me, this is taking care of each other. When this card is coming up with this question, this is making sure we take care of each other, making sure we work as a community to, if you don't want to get the vaccine, make sure you're always wearing a mask. If you do want to get the vaccine, then you know you're safer around a lot of other people. I know they're changing some, you know, certain things about, well, not wearing masks. You have to wear a mask if you haven't been vaccinated, and on flights and things like that, you have to wear masks. So they're trying not pass this vaccination passport where you don't get to do certain things if you don't have a vaccine. And I have a feeling, because this is Justice card that's coming up with this question, Lynn, that we're going to get to the point where we can't allow the honor system to work, and that we're going to have to rely on something that we have that shows that we've been vaccinated. I have a feeling that's the direction we're going in. The second card I got is a Magician. So, I mean, we've worked really hard to get to this place. We've used all our tools in our tool bag. We've done social distancing. We've done the masks. We've done the vaccinations. And that's kind of what magicians do, right? They have all the tools. They have the cups, the wands, the swords, the pentacles, all in their magic bag, and they manifest them and make things happen. And I think that's what we're doing state by state. And the more we can do that, the healthier it is, for sure. Especially mask-wise. This is somebody who's still contemplating it. So this might be somebody who's still contemplating whether or not to get the vaccine. It could be somebody who's contemplating whether or not they feel it's safe enough, or they even want to get it at all to begin with. And that's perfectly fine. That's anybody's right. Nobody's saying you need to get it. But this is the universe kind of offering you another opportunity. Maybe you've had choices and you haven't taken them, and maybe the universe is saying, come on, just get it. Just get the shot. And as a nurse, I have to say I was front line and center to get it. Yes, I have a sick day after the second one for sure. I had a good 12 hours where I was sick. But I think that it's really, I think it's really important that we know that employers are going to start to support it and support the sick time if you need sick time. I mean, I think it's worth a few hours of not feeling great. And now they're going for full through the CDC and through the Department of Health. They're going through full approval, which they should have within the next week or so. So it's no longer going to be experimental, which is nice. I think that'll make a lot of people feel better. So, but remember, you still always have a choice. Nobody's forcing you. Okay, Lynn, I hope that answered your question. Thank you for that. Linda, I'm not doing individual questions, Linda Maxey. I'm doing questions for the general public. Like we just talked about masks. We can talk about anything that's happening in the government, whether you're Republican or Democrat. You can ask a question and I'll just read the cards, whatever they say. What's happening with Biden, with Trump, with anything like that. So what's happening with Gates, what's happening with Floyd, is Chauvin going to get another trial? I've had all kinds of questions, and I found that it really is nice to be able to ask these kinds of questions so that everybody can get answers in general rather than just waiting their turn. They can kind of get some questions. So I'll definitely keep taking questions. Lynn had a great question about mask wearing, and it really is, I think you have to follow the guidelines of your state, of course, and it really is up to the state whether or not you wear a mask, is what it seems like at this point. So Lynn says it did. Thank you. I like not having severe colds last year. I know, that was really nice. The flu season was way down this year. The amount of people that caught the flu, specifically because we were wearing masks and washing our hands and using sanitizer and all the time and keeping social distance from each other. And it brought down the flu and it brought down colds. And I think a lot of people were a lot healthier this year, which was nice. Hi, Kelly. If you haven't already subscribed, you guys, at the bottom of the video, there's a little red button. Please subscribe and like it. Give me a thumbs up if you like it. Does anybody have any questions in general that they'd like answered? I'm going to pull one about, I really am hoping that this commission, just to kind of find out, get to the bottom of things, whether you're Republican or Democrat, I would think you would want to know kind of what happened and what was the setup. And Kelly, I'm not doing individual readings. I'm doing readings kind of in general about anything that's happening in the world so that everybody can enjoy them. And now since nobody asked a question, I asked one myself, which is specifically what's going to happen with this commission. It's been passed in the oh, no worries, hon. You didn't know, you just got here. I'm happy to have you here. So like, I guess it's been passed in the House and now we have to take it to the Senate. And the Senate is saying, no, they're not going to pass it. They're not going to pass it. And I kind of feel like, and I'll pull this, like, why wouldn't you pass that? Why wouldn't you want to know when it was such a horrible day, what happened behind the scenes? Like, what are people afraid of? So I pulled a bunch of cards. I'm going to pull a couple of cards on that. I've been shuffling like crazy and see what we come up with for that. So yeah, I think happy family, 10 of cups. So happy life, happy family, happy world, basically. So I really feel like this is going to make a lot of people in the public happy if they decide to vote on it and they decide to have this commission. It is set up so it's perfectly bipartisan, so that there's just as many Republicans as Democrats, so that it's fair on both sides. So both sides will get to subpoena people, but we'll get to the bottom finally and find out what exactly happened. I mean, this should have never have happened, and I think it still scares a lot of people out in the public. This is the Senate who has to make a decision, right? They have to make a decision whether or not the Two of Swords, whether or not they're gonna vote for it and have it happen. Where yes, the commission will go on. Yes, the commission will happen. And we're coming up on a full moon, and even though they're going to probably be making the decision next week, if they make a decision, I don't think anything much will happen till the new moon, which is another 2 weeks from then. We are coming into eclipse season, just so you guys know. We're coming into Mercury retrograde, which is the 28th of May, and I know you guys always love it when we get to Mercury retrograde, right? Don't sign contracts, don't do anything big. Watch for communication issues, etc. And then we also have two eclipses. We have the lunar eclipse in Sagittarius, which is on the 26th of May, which we're coming up in 4 days. We're already feeling the effects of that lunar eclipse. That lunar eclipse, our eclipse seasons are June and July, and then again in November, December. It's always every 6 months. So we're finishing up with both of these eclipses, we're finishing up whatever happened to us in November. So if you can go back in your memory and think about what happened to you in November, this is what this eclipse is going to be bringing to the forefront for you. Personally. Okay. The eclipse in Sagittarius is a nice calm eclipse. It's a nice time to kind of go within and see the things you want to change or make better for yourself. But just know that that's coming up astrologically as well. Okay. So the last card I got for going to the Senate is the Ace of Cups, which is a brand new beginning. And I'm kind of hoping that if we make something bipartisan and everybody passes it, that we'll start to look at ourselves as kind of a global, as it's not just Democrats against Republicans, especially out in the public. It's we as a country trying to make things better, right? We as a country trying to find out what happened, like they did with the 9/11 Commission. They didn't blame it on any party. They just said, let's just look into it, find out what happened. Let's get the facts so it doesn't happen again. And I think that's what this is it's a brand new beginning. It's overflowing. But right now, the cups, it's overflowing with emotion. So it's a very emotional issue in the Senate right now. And I think they'll be taking it up this week, and we'll have to see what happens. So does anybody have any other questions? I know the ambassador for China came yesterday to the White House. What's going on in the Senate? I'm sorry, I live under a rock. Nothing's really going on. We're just finding that it's really Republicans versus Democrats, which, I mean, that often happens, but I'm feeling like it's more so now that we still have, we have Biden in the White House, but we have Trump still kind of holding on to a lot of his people. And so I think it's very separated. I think the Senate is just very separated. And we're trying to pass, or they are trying to pass, I should say, because the House already passed it, a bill that specifically says, look, like the 9/11 Commission was, let's make it bipartisan, but let's take a look at what happened on January 6th so it doesn't ever happen again, so we don't ever get in that place again. And I think the Senate is trying to make a decision on which direction to go with that. And I'm kind of hoping that they'll join forces as opposed to looking at this as a Democrat versus Republican, but rather as a nation, we can get a lot stronger if we know what happens. Okay. Does that make sense, Kelly? Does anybody have any other questions about like what's happening with court cases, who's going to be indicted, who's not going to be indicted, who's running amok, who's having a good day? Yes, it does. Good, Kelly. Positive things that are happening out there as well, positive changes. So, I can read on anything that has to do with anything that's happening. China coming in, he reestablished the real good relationship that China has with the United States. So that was a real positive. I'm in Korea, I should say, and he covers part of China, but Korean ambassador and not North Korea, not Kim Jong-un. This was South Korea, and kind of renegotiated the arms deal, trying to bring down, less and less nuclear warheads. We could talk about the aliens that they've finally announced that they seem to be looking at, which is really cool. Kelly, does Biden have his puppy back at the White? Oh, his puppy. I don't know. I think they were going to try again. That's a good question. Let me pull a couple of cards. Actually, I'm being told not to pull cards. Just go with my gut. I don't think the dog is back there yet. I think they're going to slowly integrate him back. To try to get him used to being there. I think it was a big transition, and he was the younger of the two puppies. So I think it was a big transition, and that's kind of why he was acting out. But I think the ultimate goal is to get him back in the White House. Absolutely. And I am hearing that psychically. Thank you for the question, Kelly. Anybody else have questions? I talked about the Mercury retrograde. I talked about the two eclipses that are coming up, and we have this full moon. I think it's called the Bloody Strawberry, some kind of, it's like a big long name for this full moon that's coming up, and it really is the start of Mercury retrograde as well. So we have a lot coming up. We have Saturn that's going retrograde. We have Jupiter that's going retrograde. So we have a lot of planets. We have Mercury that's going to be going retrograde. And retrogrades kind of just slow things down, don't they? Which isn't a bad thing. I mean, we can all use some slowness. I think we've all been going and going and going and trying to figure everything out. No, I do tropical astrology. That's why the first eclipse is in Sagittarius. The second eclipse is the solar eclipse is in Gemini, and that's for yeah, because Vedic astrology would put the first eclipse in Scorpio, a month ahead. So it is. I thank you for asking that question, Kelly, because a lot of people need to know that there is a difference between the two types of astrology, and I work basically in tropical astrology. The S. I think you meant to finish your sentence, Lynn. Which is more accurate? I think they're both really accurate. I know that I changed from a Virgo because I'm right on the cusp of Leo Virgo. I moved to being a Leo, which I have a lot of traits of anyway. The color of my hair, the assertiveness, the outspokenness. But I have a lot of Virgo traits, I have to say. So, I'm very, I'm a hypochondriac. I'm very aware of my body. I'm very in tune with other people. And I think that makes a big difference. I don't think one is better than the other. I think it just depends on how you look at it. If it's about anything in the world, yes, Berserker. Just make sure you've hit the subscribe button down below. And if you've hit the subscribe button, you can certainly ask a question. The super flower, full moon. I think it is something. But no, it's the bloody flower. It has the word bloody in it. I know, because I heard it and I thought, why do they always have to make it sound so intense? But I know that April and May have the two largest full moons for the year, and by the largest and the super full moon means that it's closest to the earth, so it's going to seem that much bigger. And I don't know if you remember in April, the full moon, when I looked out the window, it seemed like it was so close, it was huge. And that's coming up too, I think on the 27th of May. So we've got Mercury retrograde, we've got the lunar eclipse in Sagittarius on the 26th, and we have the full moon at the time of the lunar eclipse. So we have a lot of things that are happening up there. We have a lot of things that are going to, rock the boat for some people, make you feel, make you look inward a little bit at some things you want to change about yourself, but also make you question people around you a little bit more, maybe not be as truthful and open. So it's really good for the people that are, no, Berserker, I'm answering questions in general about like the world, like what's happening with Matt Gaetz, or what's happening with Green, or what's happening with Trump, or with Biden, or with Biden's wife, or with somebody just asked a question about the dogs in the White House, and somebody asked a question about the vaccine and wearing masks. Those are the kinds of questions in general that I'm asking, that I'm answering. So any questions that you bring forth like that, I'll be happy to answer for you, but I'm not doing individual readings. I wanted to try to switch over to this for a while because I've had so many people call me and ask me questions about stuff. So I thought that this would be a good opportunity for people to come on and ask questions, and I can pull some cards to see what the cards say. Okay? So if you have a question about anything in the government or in the politics that are happening, and will they find 100% foolproof COVID vaccine? Well, I think 95% is pretty close. That's better than the flu vaccine. That's better than any other vaccine that's out there, even the children's vaccines. I don't think there's 100% vaccine, but I know that it's going, Kelly, it's going to the Department of Health and the CDC, and they're getting full approval. So it'll no longer be experimental as of next week. So I think people will feel a little bit better about it when it's no longer, they have a lot more data behind them. Sagittarius is a sign that's it's a mutable sign. I mean, it's a fixed sign. So usually it's an air sign. I mean, it's a fire sign. So Sagittarius is sometimes can be a little hot tempered. They can get a little hot under the collar. Sagittarius are usually called the bachelors or the bachelorettes of the sign of the zodiac because they don't like to settle down with just one person, or they like to stay single for as long as they possibly can. They're very giving. They're very loving, nurturing, very intuitive. Hi, nice to see you guys again too. I hope that helps. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I have to leave. Oh, I hope we can talk soon, Lynn. Your pictures are beautiful whenever I see them of you and McGregor, so keep them up. I love to see them. Glad you came today. Thanks for your question. I think it's going to take a while for people to get used to this new way of asking questions or come on and I'll kind of, some of my readings that I'll do, not necessarily live, but some of my readings. Hi, Taylor, make sure you hit the subscribe button, please. And I'm answering questions in general, kind of globally about things that are happening out in the environment. You're so welcome, Lynn. Happy to see you, hon. So does anybody else have any questions? And I'll try to be doing my ones that are pre-recorded that talk about individual things. And I tend to be pretty middle of the road. I mean, I have my likes and my dislikes, certainly, but as everybody does, but I don't like that to get interfered with when I start pulling cards. The cards are very neutral and they give me very neutral answers. Okay. So for all of you, that you can really start to trust that. Anybody have a question? Everybody's so quiet today. Is it just because I'm not doing individual personal questions? I was taking more questions about kind of what's happening in the world. I thought you guys would like to know what's happening. The hiccups, excuse me. What's happening out there in the world? Okay. You think there will be a new COVID wave in the next months? You know, a lot of people have been asking that question. Let me pull some cards on that, Jamina. I think that we're getting really good with the amount of people where I think we're really questioning if we're going to get to the herd immunity, because there are still a lot of people out there who won't take the vaccine. I know here in Rhode Island, I was talking about it at the beginning, because I think 95% of our population that is 80 or older have been vaccinated, and like 70 or 80% of our people that are over 50 have been vaccinated. So we've only had 1% of COVID cases that are recurring anymore. Rhode Island has really stepped up and been vaccinating like crazy. And we have a lot of people that really want to get vaccinated. So I think that's part of the reason. So I think the COVID wave, I'm going to pull a couple of cards, but the COVID wave will come if enough people don't get vaccinated, so that these new mutations, because when you don't get vaccinated, that's when new mutations come in. And, you know, we've had them from East Africa. We've had them from, I forget where else. The UK was one. The different variants, the different mutations, and when we don't have the vaccinations, we have people that are bringing in these germs or these different parts when they travel of the COVID or the SARS. It's basically SARS coronavirus. And what happens is it starts to interact with the vaccines, and it starts to interact with people who have had COVID, and it creates a new mutant because they're born to need to want to stay alive. So I think that's what's going to stop us, is the fact that if not enough people get vaccinated, we may see. Hi, Taylor. We're not doing individual readings. We're doing readings of kind of about the universe and about the world. So I have the Page of Wands, which is a messenger that's going to be coming through. And I think this is about like the CDC and the Department of Homeland Security. And this is about, you know, pushing through the vaccine to be totally 100% accepted and 100% foolproof. So it won't mean, I mean, it'll still be at 95%. I don't mean it like that, but it won't be experimental anymore. And I think people will start to feel better about that. And you can see the growth that's on this stick as he's looking into the future. But I feel like with the sky so blue, if I would just go by this card alone, I think it would tell me that no, we're not going to see a variant. We're not going to see another rise. But with this card, the King of Swords, it's more about, yes, paying attention to the signs. Yes, paying attention to the fact that we're not doing everything we can possibly do. Sitting very firmly, has his sword up in the air like he's ready to fight again, ready for battle. So it could be that we'll see another wave that'll come in, but I don't think it'll be nearly as bad because of how many people have already been vaccinated. So... and this is hard working. This is being dissatisfied with work, being dissatisfied with the fact that, in answer to that question, that maybe everybody isn't doing their part or feeling vaccinated or feeling like getting the vaccine, which is totally their right. But because of it, we're not going to get to that herd immunity. I mean, if we don't get to that 80% herd immunity, we can let in those variants and that can bring on another wave. So I think they're watching it closely is what I keep hearing. They're watching it closely. I hope that answered your question. Bachelors with their needs, interests, or how would you keep their attention? I don't know. That's up to the individual person, hon. About the bachelor part, berserker. That would be about the individual person. Okay. And I still do private readings at northernlights.one. A lot of you have contacted me. You're welcome, Kelly. My pleasure. And I still do private readings. You can go to northernlights.one and look up all the information. And yeah, I don't talk about prices on here, but if you go to northernlights.one, O-N-E, it lists all the types of readings that I do, half hour or an hour, the prices, how you can contact me by telephone, to set up a reading, etc. And we work it out that way. And I've been really busy with personal readings, so I know a lot of you have been coming to me separately from this to try to get information. Other questions, guys? I want to pull a little bit on what's happening with Matt Gaetz, with that whole investigation. He hasn't been charged. Nothing, we don't know for sure if he's guilty or not guilty. He's not guilty until he's proven otherwise, correct? I think there are a lot of people turning on him, including an ex-girlfriend now. So the first is the Page of Cups, which is a messenger. I think he's the Cups is all about emotions, right? And I think Matt Gaetz is probably feeling that he is kind of put on the spot and everybody's paying attention to him and he doesn't like the attention and he feels he's innocent. And so it'll be interesting to see what comes up in the news and the media, and because that's what this page is bringing in as news. The world card is here, so the whole world is watching to see how we're going to handle this. This isn't just about Matt Gaetz. This is about kind of justice in general. We kind of have gotten off the beaten path, so a lot of people are really paying attention to this. And this is him taking a rest, taking some time off. He may decide that he's going to bow out for a little while or take some respite time so his family isn't bothered, because I feel like he feels very overwhelmed by all of this, which I think any of us would feel. And I think this is him just resting and taking some time for himself. And we may see that in the next month or so coming up. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if he's innocent or guilty. We just know that there's some people out there that are talking. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Okay. Okay. What's your question? Naja? KK. Naja. So today's generation of people and how they view love. Do you think traditional relationships are possible? Absolutely. I mean, people are in traditional relationships every day. They're in the traditional relationships. They're in monogamous, non-monogamous. They're in heterosexual. They're in LBGT community relationships. I don't think anybody can put a sticker on what love is, right? You can't control what your heart says, berserker. So you follow your heart and you love who you love. And I think that's what makes the world go round. What's your question, Naja? I love the dialogue, though. So thank you for asking the questions and for the comments. It's awesome. And I hope you guys talk to each other, too, as well. Don't hesitate. Naja, you said you have a question. What's your question, hon? Make sure you guys who are all coming on, I don't recognize a lot of your names, that you've subscribed before I answer your question. Thank you. And hit the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever there's a new video that I put up, whenever there's a new video when I come live. The past month has been really crazy busy. I haven't been on much. I'm also a registered nurse, and I have been doing a lot of the state's vaccine clinics, which I really, really enjoy. It makes me feel wonderful to be able to help rid us of this horrible disease that have killed so many people. Anybody have any more questions? I come on for about an hour, a few times a week, and unless there are a lot of questions, and then I'll stay a little bit longer. Anybody have any questions? Doesn't look like it. Okay, I'm going to ask one more question. I'm going to ask the question about, the Supreme Court's going to take a look at something we won't find out till the spring regarding Roe v. Wade. So I'm going to bring that up, and I'm going to take a look and see what we've got with that. It's going to move quicker than we think. So we may hear sooner than the spring. Like I said, the Supreme Court has decided to take up this Mississippi discussion and make some decisions. And I think the individual states will also be making decisions. I think that's what the fool is kind of the individual states looking at everything, being at the edge and trying to make a decision which direction they're going to be heading in. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that. That's coming up, is that although it's gone to the Supreme Court, we may not get that ruling till the spring, but each individual state may start to take a look at things and Roe versus Wade. I don't think this is telling me that I feel like Roe versus Wade is in place. I think the waters are calm around it. It's a federal law. It's its own, what's the word? You know how they go back and they look at certain cases and try to determine other cases based on that case. And this is Roe versus Wade. You're trying to overturn something that it's the main case, it's the main cause, it's the main reason that has liberated so many women to have freedom of choice with their own bodies. And I feel like this sword, he's trying to get away from the confines. He's trying to get away from making this a federal decision, rather keeping it free. So thank you guys for being here. It looks like we're all set for today. It was lovely to see you, and I will be back on during the week, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Take care.